I was a reluctant mystic. I say was because I'm no longer that. I'm going to own it now because I know what's going on in the world, and I know that it's time for all of us to own who we are and make the world a lot better. But I'm going to tell you a story because I just wrote an article about this, which I will attach to the video when it's out there. Because I had to write something for a business partner. I wanted to explain how your life operating instructions came about. So I thought I'd go back to the beginning and just tell the entire story. I never talked about my channeling, my Wilhelm, my automatic writing, none of that stuff. But it's what I've done my entire life. I mean, I've always been intuitive since I was a child, so I knew that. But I didn't know it was going to turn into anything else. We don't know who we're going to become when we come into the world, but we all have something that we're meant to bring. But a lot of times we will judge it. We'll think it's weird and strange. That's exactly what I did. And I see that with my clients all the time because I am an intuitive empowerment life purpose coach. So I see this all the time. But looking at myself, I go, I'm not going to go there. But I have to because we need to move the world forward because that's why I am in the world now, and I hope you understand that's why you're here as well. In 1988, I was making another big change. I've done a lot of different careers, which is why this was also very strange because most of my stuff were in business before business and then entertainment. But it was never anything that people would see woohoo or new age or any of that. Never going to talk about it, and I came from a very traditional family. So in 1988, I was making this big change, and I happened to read an article about automatic writing, and I said I need help. So I decided to sit down and try it. And it was crazy. It said, sit down with pen and paper and meditate. And I was been meditating, and I said, let's see what happens. Nothing happened for a few days, but I was still doing my meditating. Then one day, it felt like I heard something. I took my hand and I said, I'm telling you the whole thing, how it happened. And I started writing, and it felt like my hand was just being taken over, and all this information was coming through, and it was strange. And it actually startled me. And I said, who's speaking to me? This is what I heard. And then I heard, well, we're another part of you, your higher self. But if that makes you uncomfortable, you can call us whatever you like. We all have that ability. When you're praying or whatever you do, you're hearing something, you're thinking of something, you're hearing consciousness all the time. But to be able to interpret it takes a little bit of practice. And I was in a state where I needed to do that. So I started, as that came through, and they said, well, you can call us whatever you like. And then Wilhelm came out of my mouth, just like quickly. I said, fine, let me have it be that, so it's not me, right? So nobody will know it's me if I write this stuff. But it was still amazing to me because what happened, I started receiving information that is still to this day informative to me about my life. I was controlling it a bit at first, and then that changed as well. I was asking very specific questions, which is what we do a lot. And then I started changing it to any advice for today, because I recognized what I was doing. We only want to hear what we want to hear. Sometimes that's not helpful in terms of us evolving or becoming more in our lives. So I just started, just tell me what I need to do. That was what I did. So I went on like this for many years, didn't tell anyone. I went through horrible tragedies in my life during this period because I was doing it all the time, because in 1994 I went through a really life-changing experience and hospitalization. I went through everything, and this helped me get through it. Then I started discovering that I was doing other things. I became clinically depressed, but doing this work I was able to change that. I mean, I took medication at first, but then I figured that out, and then I was able to move off of it. And then I had all these other illnesses, as I said, and then I started clearing them up, and a lot of times the doctors couldn't figure out why that was happening. I'm just going along, not telling anyone, because I'm just I'm just surviving at this point, just getting through. And then the other thing I did is I started coaching. I started coaching voice. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did all of it intuitively. And then people were saying, wow, you're the best coach ever. Where'd you get your training? Yeah, I did work with the coach, and I got that. But then what I did, which I always do, I took the information and I said, okay, let me see how I can make it better. And that's what we're all supposed to do, by the way. That's why we're here. We're here to evolve. So that went on for many years. I wasn't, again, not going to tell anyone. In 2007, I believe it was, someone found one of my writings on my desk in my office at that time, and they said, "Who wrote this?" And I'm like still pushing back. I said, "Well, it was me." I said, "This is really helping me." And I said, "Well, okay, I do it every day." Well, they said, "Could you send it to me?" I said, "Sure." I started doing that. So I started a little email list, and then more people wanted them. So I started. Then I started a website. This is exactly how it happened. I was being pulled out. That's why I say I was reluctant, because I wasn't going to tell anybody what I was doing. And during that whole time, too, other things were happening. I had a literary agent who wanted to do a book on it and all of that. I wasn't ready. I thought, no, let's not do that. So fast forward to now, basically, because when the pandemic started, I knew what was going on. I felt what was happening. I have no idea how I knew that. I mean, it came out later that I have this ability to kind of access history, in a sense, and figure out and interpret what's going on now. That's why I was able to put those things out there. And it started bothering me a couple of years ago, because I'm writing things that are showing up now. I wrote something talking about the restructuring that we were all moving through, and then I said the United States would lead the way, and at that time it made absolutely no sense. And so I'm holding back. Now we're seeing that's happening. That's what's happening with Ukraine. I mean, the United States said, okay, we've got to pull the world together. And as that started happening, I just kept going with it, but I'm still not talking about it so much. So then in 21, I started to see even more. Then I go out and I'm walking down the street, and I heard, I'm just going for my walk, and I heard, "We gave you everything you needed to know in 2012. I go, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm saying all these things because we have to get out of our stuck, limited belief system to be able to expand, because nothing is like what we knew, and I had to allow that to happen as well. And I said, that does not make any sense. I came back to my computer, and then I noticed that there was a folder in my computer, my email folder, that was separate from all the others, and it said Wilhelm. I opened it up, and it had all of these, most of the messages in there for 2012. I didn't remember that, didn't remember creating it. And I started looking at them, and they seemed somewhat different. They were really good, and I had to sit and think about them. That's the other thing I want you to understand. When I receive the information, I have to go back and study it myself, because a lot of times I don't interpret it right away. And I look at it now, and I can see that. But what I heard was, we are going to be going through a transition, and we're seeing it happen all over the world. And this information that we're giving you, it's a philosophy, it's a lifestyle. It's called Your Life Operating Instructions. It will help you move through this time in your world, and it'll help so many others. I still doubted it. I went on, I kept trying to find a message that was bad. I'm telling you everything here because a lot of you have doubt about why you're here and what you're doing, and I want you to understand this. And so I kept going. And when I have the doubt, this is just what I say with my clients, when you have the doubt, it's going to become uncomfortable. You got to do something. And what you've got to do is move into it. And that's what I did. So I put together a group of people in December to put them through this program. I said, let's see if this works. Boy, did it work. And I didn't have any clue as to why. And I was like freaked out. I've talked about that. I was so surprised. And then it was revealed to me why it worked. Because of my ability to access information. And some of the stuff they said this was ancient wisdom that I had privy to and somehow. And even my brother, I have two brothers, they're Bible people, and they're scholars, and they said, wait a minute, some of this stuff seems like it's coming from the Bible. I said, I don't know. It's just what comes through me, and it works. And it's what's helped so many people. That's what I know. And so then as I went through all of this, I'm seeing that the correlation started to make sense now. And I could go back to 2012, and I could see the messages were about how we can become better now. That's really what it was. Then to make matters even crazier, because this is how it felt to me, that this was insane. I heard, well, we gave you things moving into 2013 because we knew you weren't going to be finished with this now. We knew that you would not be through this period because humans have difficulty changing. That's why we're having all the conflict. That's why the war is going on. That's what's happening. And unless we are willing to change, open up, own who we are, things won't improve. There's a lot to go into that to understand that, and I didn't understand it before because none of us did. We didn't have quantum physics or we didn't know all of that stuff before. But now we know how important each person is in terms of creating a world. And when I saw, wait a minute, I have something that could help people get into where they needed to be and own themselves and feel happy and be settled and feel peaceful and not fearful like I am. See, I went through all kinds of fear and doubt my entire life. My entire life. This work changed that. And so then people said, well, how can you guarantee this? Because it can't fail. I know it's there, and I've done it, and I've worked, so I can guarantee it. And then the reason I got to understand this, because I had trouble accepting my own ability, as you do. We all do that. How do we know who we're going to be? So I think it was 2020. It was right during the pandemic, I believe. A podcaster said to me, Roger, what can I do for you? Let me send you something. I said, I don't have anything. He says, do some podcasts. Just do some recordings. I said, I didn't know. I said, okay. I send people to me, and I said, let's call it, what's the answer to my question? So I didn't want people to tell me anything. I just wanted them to show up. I would talk to them and just see what came up. They would have a question. They could have that when they came in, but I didn't want to know anything beforehand. Because, see, I'm testing myself. And and things started coming through. And I have people coming back now thanking me for whatever I told them, because I don't typically remember. But it was, oh, I guess that was real. I guess that was something that I had that I could do. Anyway, so then I thought, when do you decide that you have developed something that is so valuable that it could make a difference in the world? When do you make that decision? Because we sit and we doubt. I did that forever. We sit and we doubt and we're fearful and no, it's not going to work. I've never done that, though, because if any of you know me, I test everything before I talk about it and put it out, and this I tested. And the ultimate test should be me, that I'm still alive, that I'm still here. However, I want to say this. You are here in the earth now to evolve and move to the next level of who you are. Now, we could resist it. That was the message this morning on my site, Any Advice for Today, and you can see it there. And purposely, they said, I put down the one that came in 2013, and there is no accident as to why that's there. Because we are all uncomfortable, and we have to become willing, I use this so much and I love it, become willing to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. We have to, because if we stay where we were, nothing improves. Our world doesn't change, our lives don't change. And you have to understand, because there's far more to this, because all the information that came through about the changes that happen in our world over time, and I was given information, I could see this. That's why we knew that this period was going to be happening. It wasn't accidental. There are things that are coming about, but it's purposeful to cause our world to be better. But the only way that happens is if we decide to own ourselves and make ourselves better. And that's what I had to do, and they told me I needed to be the example. But I just wanted to explain this because I know it's probably been people wondering, where's your life operating instructions come from? That's where it came from. And it works. And I'm going to take this so large, because when people start feeling themselves and owning themselves and doing what they came to the world to do, and they're happy and spreading, that's energy. It's energy that translates into change all over the world, not just us. We're all that connected. All right, see you guys soon.